Okay, today we're going to finish all the carving on this piece. As you can see, I've gone ahead and I've added one braid onto her. Looks pretty good. So today what we're going to do is we're going to put the other braid on her, and then we will move along from there. So first thing I'm going to do is get my drill, and I've carved a little platform here for the braid, so I'm just going to drill a hole like that. Put a braid back on, and you can see their braid is kind of carved to fit the contours of the blanket right there. So I find my little wire. I've got this thin piece of copper wire here I use. It works perfectly. I'll bend that out straight there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that in the hole like that. Go on, get up in there. There we go. Stick that in the hole like that. Make sure my braid is down. And then I'm going to bend this down to follow the contours of that blanket. More or less just like that. Okay? And looking at it, I'll get them even so it's about right there. I'll make a little bend. So from that point to that point is the shape I want to hit. Okay? Let me go see if I can find me a piece of wood. And here's the piece of wood I'm going to use. There you can see the cutout for the other braid. So I'm going to take this, and remember this is the inside form. So we're just going to allow myself a little slop up there. I'm going to draw me a line. Just make a mark right there where that is. There, that's the inside. So now I just come down like that. Make it a little longer than normal. Better to have too much than not enough, okay? So now I'm going to go over and cut that out, and I'll be back here. Okay, we got our braid cut. It still has a lot of fitting to do, so what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of round it out a little. Sometimes this takes 3 or 4 times before you get it exactly the way you want it. Almost got it. Kind of hard to do things when you're wearing these gloves. That one little area right in there. Now it's moved up. This is Arkansas basswood. It's very hard. Don't ever buy any of it. This is left over from a long, long time ago. I used to carve. God, I carved a lot of figures with this basswood before someone introduced me to the good stuff. Tell you what I'm going to do. Color this area right there. Use the same technique that I use when I'm making hats to match the head. And it shows me exactly where I need to cut. To get the perfect match. Look at there. Look, see how good that worked? Perfect. I'll take a little off up here. Got a rough right in here. That looks good. Okay. So the hard part's over. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to round this. Okay. Now we want to make it the same size as this one on this side, so we telephone call. So that's the end of my braid right there. And you always count your braids, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a partial one up there on top, okay? Stuff is tough. So let's just see here. There's a little. That's about it there. So we got to take off quite a bit here. But we have to be careful when we do this. We don't want to get it too thin. And we got to watch out for how that grain's running. Still pretty thick. Getting close. Okay, so now we can carve this down. And we want to make sure we get our length right. Getting there. And again, these thick gloves don't help. Just about. That ought to do it. Okay. That should do it. So now we can go ahead and let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a piece. So doing this is if everything works out, you're going to meet up with another braid on the other side. Well, where are you? There you are. Looky there. Success. Now we got this side fairly well fit in the side, so any thinning we do has to be done on this side. Take these things off so I can see. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is kind of clean these up a bit and make them a little more round. Now I've got me a V tool here. Okay. Oops, sorry. Before I go any further and put my glove back on, I don't want to stab myself. I'm real free with these lines. If they wiggle out of alignment with the other, that's okay. Hair just does those things. And you're probably asking yourself, well, why don't you braid it like the Native Americans do? And I say, well, I don't want to. And I don't think it really makes that much difference. I've seen lots of pictures of Native Americans without having braided their long hair. And you get down to this scale. You don't see that so much. And this free-flowing hair like this looks a heck of a lot better than some real tight braids. At least it does to me. Well, don't you know it happen on the... It always happens on the side that's the most visible. What I'm talking about is that tear out I just had there. looks pretty good. Let's just take a look here. Yep. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm taking this over to my little Sandiflex wheel, and I'm going to smooth this upper braid real smooth like I did here. And I'm not going to do anything to this except just lightly sand it, okay? The reason I did it over here, and the reason I'm sanding this now, is it's easier to do now than it is later on once they're attached to the head, okay? So now back to the... Now, I have here a galvanized 5-penny nail, okay? I use galvanized nails because, well, they won't rust, but I doubt that would ever be a problem anyway. But they're rough, and when I use epoxy glue, as you'll see, this roughness gives that glue something to hang on to better than a real shiny brad nail. And here's my drill. That's about the same size as that. So we take her head, and in that hole that we just did, hang on here, let me check this one more time. It might not be that hole. Nope, it's going to be down from that hole. It's going to be about right there. And then real easy, that'll be plenty. Cut the head off. See how far it's going to stick out. Too far, I'm sure. Not that far. We're getting there. Holy crap, you say. What are we doing here? Well, I'll show you here. I'm going to take that right there. Put a little bend on it. A little too much. So we'll take it back out. Just a hair more. Perfect. Now let's see if we can improve this any. Alright, we can take a little off right down here. And there's a little bump on this one. And that one. I think that's about it right there. It'll look matched and I'm satisfied with it. So I'm going to take my drill. Open that up just a bit. Same here. Gives me a little bit more area to glue. Get my tools out of the way. Use my thing that I used the last time. Let me toothpick. Now, this is epoxy glue. It's Loctite epoxy gel. Now you can find it on Amazon. And what it is, it's just thick epoxy. Same stuff as this over here. I could use this. You know, the 2-part 5-minute epoxy. This is 2-part 5-minute epoxy. But this won't drip. Where that stuff is kind of fluidy when you mix it together, this is kind of thick. Like I say, you can get it on Amazon, and I order it all the time and use it all the time. It's just as strong as the other. The only problem is one side here don't flow like the other side does. So I have to squeeze me out some here like that. Just about finished with this tube. I think that's going to be about it right there. I found that this this epoxy stuff is really forgiving. You know, you can be off of the 50-50 and still get a good bond. Loctite used to make this epoxy several years back that was actually wood colored, and boy, I love that stuff because you didn't end up with a dark line. I mean, you can paint over the dark lines, but I just like the wood color it gave. Mix that up real good. Get some on my toothpick. Force it down that hole. Put some on my nail. Get it in there so I know I've got a lot of glue in there. some glue around the area where they're going to meet. See there, it's not running, which is what I like. So we get it matched on one side, and we get it matched on the other. Like that. And we're just going to hold it in place. Pull this down or it holds that thing up higher. And we'll wait till it sets up. So she looks pretty good. So after this sets up, and we won't wait here for it to set up, but before it gets real hard, well, maybe we will. So we'll shut off the camera until we reach that point. I was going to tell you, before I started doing her hair on this side, which we're not going to be able to get done today, we're going to have to wait and do it in the next one. I took my gouges, and with this thing, I think I got it from, where is it? This outfit, I can't remember, Flex Cut, that's what it is. And put some Zam on here and just sharpened them. And went over to my wheel. You could probably do it here. Just burnished them a little. Okay, anyway, the glue's set up. It's still wiggly, but it's set up, you know. That head isn't going to move anymore. So when it reaches that state before it gets hard, you can come in here and you can cut off this excess glue. Well, it hadn't set up that yet. Anyway, you can do that and let it wait just a while, a little bit longer, so I don't mess it up. We're too close. So anyway, you can go in there before it sets up completely and cut off any excess glue. But one thing you will notice, it didn't drip, which is what I was saying earlier. That's nice that you don't have to mess with that. So in the next video, we'll do the hair, and then we'll start the burning process and hopefully get that pretty well outlined to where the video after that we can start painting her. Okay? So until then, I'll talk to you later.